My name is Mary Prescott, and I am an interdisciplinary artist. I work in performance, a lot of music and film and text. I'm Thai American, and I think that's it.
My name is Ifrah Mansour. I'm Somali. I love winter. That's why I'm here, and possibly that's why all my cousins are here. I used to make theater. Now I just love making huts in the woods. Yeah.
I'm Eyenga Bokamba. I am Congolese American. I am a Twin Cities and Italy-based visual artist who is a painter who wants to be a sculptor. Mm-hmm. I am very much tied to kind of multiple communities here in the Twin Cities, arts community, visual arts, education community, cultural communities. And my name means child born on Sunday. And I am a Bangala, speaker of Lingala. So.
I'm José A. I was born in Mexico and then was brought to the US when I was 4. And I am a dance artist here. So, yeah.
Hello, my relatives. In Washichu, in English, my name is Dr. Kate Beane. In Dakota, I'm known as Ahadipiwe, or Brings Them Home Woman. I'm a citizen of the Flanders Santee Sioux Dakota Nation, and I'm also Muskogee Creek. And currently I serve as the executive director of the Minnesota Museum of American Art. So I'm the daughter, sister, wife, mother of a lot of artists, and I get to do the fun work of administrating. So it's a little bit about who I am.
Lovely to meet all of you. My name is Kao Kalia Yang. You can call me Kalia. It's the girl with the dimples, and everybody just calls me Dimples. I came here as a refugee kid at the age of 6. Grew up here in the Twin Cities, in the most impoverished side of the city, which is also the side that I've returned to, so that's where I drove from. I am very proud to be Hmong American. I love that in my stories, whether it is oral storytelling or on the page, I speak to the truths that make us possible and bring us into community with each other and the bigger world. But so honored to be here with all of you.
I've invited people from a variety of the different communities in the Twin Cities to come together and share a dish that represents your heritage and your personal story in some way. I really believe that food can tell the story of our ancestors, and it connects us to each other and to our past and to the future, why we're here, how we got here, the journey. It's just such a powerful collector of memories and a reminder of memories. And it tells the stories of the people who were the caretakers and nourished us. For me, that's the women in my family whose stories never got told in another way. And that was also one of the reasons that having this meal together was important to me, because I wanted to recover these stories that had been lost. And that's it. And so welcome to the table, and thank you again for sharing this time with me and with each other. I'm going to start with my mom's curry puffs. And this goes with the cucumber salad that's already there next to you.
Thank you.
These are entirely handmade from scratch. The curry puff is one that is a favorite that we all love so much. And when she makes it for other people, everybody just adores it. And they ask for the recipe. And she always says, like, no, it's too complicated for you. So I told her, I said, Mom, I want to make curry puffs for this dinner. She was like, oh, no. It's we're not going to do that. It's so much work, you know. And I said, you don't have to do anything. I'll do everything. I want to be able to make it anyway. And so, of course, she took over every step of the way. So the curry puffs entered my mom's repertoire not because her grandmother or mother made it, but because when she came to this country, she really, really missed Thai food from her childhood. She came here in the late 60s. There wasn't anything around at that time that was like this, and she wanted the reminder of home, which is what food does for us, right? So she contacted her aunt in Thailand, and she said, "Can you please find me a recipe book that has how to make this, and please get one that actually has the amounts of the ingredients, because otherwise it's going to just say like put some flour in the bowl and then put some of this, you know." So for Christmas and for New Year's, she got this recipe book in 1982 that was sent over from my great aunt Patra, that has the recipe for this curry puff. And of course, when my mom was making it, she couldn't get the taste to be the same as what she knew. This is made with, traditionally it's a dry curry, which is more of like an Indian curry. But my mom included a red wet curry from a can. And that is the taste that I grew up with. And it has a little bit more heat than the Indian curry. So when I make it now, I insist on having the wet curry part of it because that's what I like. And that's my memory. The filling is chicken, potatoes and onions, and then the curry spices, a little bit of coconut milk, a little bit of coconut oil. And you have to stand over the stove stirring it for basically 2 hours because otherwise it burns on the bottom of the pan. So it is pretty labor intensive with that part. And then the dough part has its origins actually in Portuguese pastries. So maybe in the mid 1600s, the royal family had a chef who was half Portuguese, and she is the one who's credited with bringing this pastry to Thailand. And it was initially like a court food, and only noble people had it, but now it's worked its way into the common food, and you can find it at like night markets and bakeries and things like that. When I was making this with my mom over the past few days, because of the labor-intensive nature of it, we were there for hours together, just talking about food and smells and what they reminded us of. And she told me stories from her childhood that I'd never heard before, and she probably wouldn't even have remembered, except that we were doing this thing together. And so for me, this is part of the specialness of making food together and like the family food. When we finally had like a finished product and she tasted one for the first time, all of her ambivalence about making them melted away, and she just said, "Oh, this is what it's supposed to taste like." And it brought her back to home.
You were talking about how long it takes to make them. I was like, it was so quick to eat.
I love how you don't taste like it's fried, but it's not oily.
It's not too oily.
It's crunchy and crispy and layered. It's pretty intricate. Is your mom from southern Thailand?
Yes.
How did you know? I've been to Thailand. I was born there. I lived there for 6 years in the Northeast, and then I went back to study abroad, and I've returned. And I only get the pastry puffs like this in the South.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
She's half an hour from Malaysia.
Oh, and you can taste it, which is so lovely.
We like more heat.
Yes. So I brought you all egg rolls today. And egg rolls are stereotypical. You know, when you think about Asian culture, particularly here in Minnesota, people think immediately egg rolls. But when Mary invited me, I thought, why not? So much of my work, so much of my life has been about hitting at the stereotypes that govern my people. And so egg rolls it is. Egg rolls also because when we first came to America, and I was born in the refugee camps of Thailand, where Hmong people lived on rations 3 days a week and were expected to wait out the years because of America's secret war in Laos. My family, many had died, but we were the lucky ones. And so we were kept in a refugee camp for years and years. And so there were no such things as egg rolls. It was a lot of dried fish and a lot of broken rice. But when we came to America, one of the first things was egg rolls on the table. And it was a very simple version then because of the access to ingredients. So it was a lot of cabbage and pork and bean thread noodles and of course egg. Over the years, each family has really modified and changed it to their own liking. And of course, with the Hmong American experience, so many of us remember what it was like in the war, what it was like in the jungle when everybody was starving. And so food then has always been a celebration. In my family, that means we all cook it together and we all eat it together. So it's a very communal affair. So as Mary was saying, how many batches? 300 egg rolls is what we made. And I'm like, I have to bring plenty. But there was, it's now much fancier than it been, and it's catered to the flavors that we love. So there's oyster sauce in here, there's pork, there is bean thread, there is lots of vegetables because Hmong people are incredible gardeners. And so across different seasons, I have access to so much more vegetables than most of Minnesota because all my aunts have gardens. So carrots and there's mushrooms and so many onions because I love onions. Onions is just a me thing. I love onions because it adds a certain kind of natural sweetness to the egg rolls that I really adore, and it cannot be supplemented by sugar. I've tried all kinds of sugars, and it's just not the same. But it's very near and dear to me, and now my kids can help as well. So, they will take the wrappers one by one, and we'll all do the wrapping together. But there is something so beautiful about a family gathering to make something that everybody loves. Egg rolls for me, though, above and beyond everything else, it's a statement of our long journey. We are people deleted from the history books of a bigger world. We're an oral tradition born out of words written on memory, not on paper. And I work in this medium. I work on the page predominantly. And so I'm entering into all of these different spaces all the time. And when anybody meets me, they immediately think about egg rolls. They do. And so everybody would say, "You're not what I expected." And the question is always, what are you expecting? There is always a little bit of that. These egg rolls do not taste like the egg rolls that you've had at Chinese restaurants or Vietnamese restaurants. They're very much from the Yang family in St. Paul and Cannon Falls mixed together. And they will reflect those flavors. I'll serve you all with this fancy tongue.
Oh, that's so good.
When did you start or learn to make them? How old were you?
Oh, this is such a good question. So my mom says that she doesn't love to feed us deep fried foods. So my sister and I, and the Hmong diet generally is very green. It's herb based. It's not sauce based. So if we wanted to eat something like this, we had to learn how to make it ourselves. And so probably 11, 12, we were making egg rolls together. And of course, my cousins, I have these cousins. Their mom is totally okay with making them egg rolls all the time. She makes a really mean egg roll. And so we studied her egg rolls. And then now we make them. My mom eats them. She enjoys them too. But it's always been our thing. So I've been making it now for almost 30 years.
Wow.
These egg rolls are much prettier than the ones I made at 11. I can tell you that, much better at wrapping and control all of these things. In my community, it's such an honor to get older. And year by year, I'm realizing one day their kids are gonna make this, and I'll probably have lots of onions in it because of me. And I'll be that little old grandma.
I like the texture of it. It's different than what you get in restaurants. It's like it's more flavorful, and it just, I don't know, it feels homier.
It's always connected. Food brings family stories and connections. I love that.
Yeah, so it's a tostada with some mayo, cabbage, pulled chicken with onions and tomatoes, a little crema on top, and then some shredded cheese, and then avocado. And then the plantain is air fried. I tried air frying it, and then crema, and then cojita cheese as well. I was a picky eater. And so this was like such an introduction for like food for me because it allowed me to like pick out stuff that I didn't like. And so like for our family, like everybody would load theirs differently. We would always just joke around of like how loud it is. Like you can hear the loudness as you're eating. It brings me so that these members of like our family eating together. I think this actually represents like how our family was brought up, which was like very like low income, immigrant, and just like simple ingredients that were affordable to us back then. And the abundance of like how it can be replicated so much, and you can have so many leftovers that were just so important for us to like continue eating as a family.
Yeah.
Plantains would just be our dinner sometimes, because it was just like so cheap to make. So I opted for these instead of the big complicated dishes, mostly because my mom also like hates cooking. So when you asked me about this project, I was like, I don't know that she like, and like the first things that I like thought of when you asked me to be part of this project, it was just like a memory of her peeling like an orange every morning when I was little before school, and then her ability to make horchata, which is like rice water, and those were just like again like what brings me back to her. She always wanted a daughter. She never got one, but my oldest brother has a daughter, and so instantly my mom's daughter as well. And like thinking of empanadas, which is another dish that I really thought about, just like see like my mom and my niece like making the empanadas together. It's sort of strange like seeing that, especially like growing up in a sort of traditional home of like the mom is the one doing the cooking, not because she wants to or she likes it, but sort of because that's what's expected of them. I really saw her transform to just like stop fitting into that role, and just like her resistance to like my dad and just like the family dynamics was just like so apparent. I was like, what is going on? And it wasn't until like later in life that I understood like she was just done. The part of like making food or like anything that was inherited from my mom, I don't have it as a deep connection because it just wasn't part of our dynamic where she would teach the boys how to cook.
It's so flavorful and rich, but and very satisfying, that crunch that you talk about.
Yes.
I thought I was a picky eater, but now as I'm getting older, I see her as a very picky eater. Because there's
to her.
there's this thing of like whatever food is warm or hot, like it needs to stay that way. Thinking of family and mother inheritance, I'm like, that's I think one thing that we share is just like there's a weird little quirk about temperature of food.
Share.
Yeah.
I love the cabbage in it. This is my first time having a tostada with cabbage.
I love it too.
The crunch
Yeah.
and the coolness. It's awesome.
My aunt, she lives in Mexico, and she used to have a tortilla shop. I have the memory of like anywhere you go, like tortillas, you just get them in a little like paper, and you just fold them up. You just know it's gonna be a good meal because you're getting it from across the street. And that's how like neighborhoods in Mexico are. Like there's always a tortilla place and everybody that goes there.
I'm also very impressed by the integrity of our tortillas. It didn't fall apart.
It didn't fall apart, and they were
Not
still
at all.
crunchy.
Yeah.
So crunchy.
Yeah, I was impressed by that too.
Right?
So you know where to get the good tostadas or how to make the good ones.
I made a breakfast dish, anjero, Somali anjero, and bear. This is lamb liver. I have to give credit to my best friend's mother's because she made the injera. I wanted to make the injera like my grandmother made it for me when I was a kid in Somalia. That traditional way entails making your own starter from scratch and building it, and then mixing the injera in the middle of the night and actually hand beating it. And I was like, I think I can do it. I remember because I was being taken care of my grandmother when I was a kid before Somalia's civil war broke out. So I just have such a fond memories of eating her food, but I never watched her make it. So I was trying to remake this recipe from just memory. And I failed a little bit, just a little bit, just a little bit. This is just a very simple dish. It's flour, it's cornmeal, and water, and your own starter. There's no need for yeast if you know how to do it the traditional way. This is also a dish that saved a lot of people in the Somali refugee camps as well, because you can stretch it. You can feed a large Somali family with just this. Typically, you would only eat this with a little bit of sugar and sesame oil, and that's it. That would be your breakfast. And if you're lucky enough, you would have dinner. There would be no lunch. So this is sort of like the abundant version of it, because liver, believe it or not, was also an expensive item. It was the special extra dish that you got if your family had just a little bit more. And again, the liver would also be fresh. It would be bought the morning, and the animal would be killed the morning as well. At least I feel like I got this dish made in its traditional way. It's got potatoes, got lots of onions, like you Somalis, we love our onions. We live on onions. It's got herbs. I like sage, even though we don't use sage. Green pepper, red pepper, a little bit of heat, lime, just a little bit of cilantro on the top. When I would wake up for school, in the morning, what I would see is my grandmother cooking this. So this is like, a love memory, a love dish right here. You would make your own fire, from sticks. She would burn it. I could see her eyes burning and watering, and she'll still be making it. Yes, my grandmother was a corn farmer and a sesame farmer. A lot of times we would be eating something that my grandmother grew with her own hands, and that's what I love about our communities. Food is, it's our history. And Somalia has been colonized from left to right, and I would say this is one of the dishes that has not been influenced by our colonizers. I love that this is an anti-colonization.
Thank you so much.
Yes. I'll give you too much potatoes. If you want more, let me know.
This is perfect.
Okay. Somalis, we love our food really, really hot. In fact, we're known for being annoying for asking food to be hotter. Yeah.
It's really delicious.
It is delicious.
Yeah.
It's so good. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I love the herbs that just come.
Yeah. Me
Yeah.
It's so lovely.
Sometimes, I imagine when people were leaving their homes in South Somalia to flee to refugee camps in Kenya, some of them actually took their injera makers, because they're like, I gotta feed the family. I do feel like, earlier when you were saying about being a picky eater, I didn't get a chance to be a picky eater because everything was cooked all together. You couldn't pick things out. So sometimes when I watch my niece and nephew pick things out, I'm like, lucky you. Because everything would be like this. Yeah.
When I like how you talk about, when families had to go, what items that were related to food and what they would feed their families that they would take with them.
Yeah.
So that food that's connected to our displacement
Very much.
and our story, I think is so important.
Very much, yeah. It's beautiful because I feel like I am bonding with my little sister now because we're trying to help each other remake our grandmother's dishes. And all we have is just memory of the food. And we also come from cultures. There's no measurement. Measurement doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It's just throw this and that. That's it. You don't even taste sometimes. You look, you feel, you smell, and khalas.
Well, so I'm going to just invite everybody into a little bit of collective storytelling while we pass the food. So you go ahead and take this as jasmine rice with butter and just a little bit of salt, and then chicken thigh bone in with spinach, tomato sauce, stewed tomatoes, and lots of onions. And the chicken is just sauteed, baked in the oven. So I'll let you go ahead and start that. So my question for you all as we're passing the food around is memories you have associated with fried onions.
Oh. I have a friend who he loves to take me out to like an expensive dinner whenever he comes to visit.
Okay.
And so we went to a steakhouse and we were selecting all of the items to get. And he said, we have to get the onion rings. And then we got them and they were just the most spectacular onion rings I've ever had.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love caramelized onions.
Okay.
So one of the first dishes I learned how to make was Polish sausage, but you first stir fry the onions until they're caramelized. And it's on the border of burned. I love burned. And so I used to make that for my grandma, and she would look at it, she'd smell it, she'd say, "You're cooking again." When I smell burnt, oh, I miss grandma. Brings me right back. Oh,
I mean, ironically, like this last weekend I was with my friend and he was
thank you.
giving me a rundown of all the onions he likes and doesn't like, or likes them, how he likes them cooked and not cooked.
Okay. Well, I picked this dish because of the fried onions. And it just took me back to childhood. And so my mom is American, my dad is Congolese, and my mom and dad divorced when I was really young. So my American mom does not cook. When my dad remarried my stepmom, they actually grew up in the same village. So she actually cooks all the things that they grew up with. As a kid, we were always kicked out of the kitchen. We were all born in the United States, and my stepmom, I'm just going to refer to her as mom, my mom would just be like shocked by the things we didn't know. So what I revisited while making this dish was the beauty of having mom just decide to go ahead and cook the thing because we didn't know how to do it. And so this dish was just really special to me in that regard. But more of it is the relationship of family trauma bonding around like the best dishes, right? In my adult life, I am partnered with a wonderful woman who is my family, who is my person. And she is allergic to onions. So I'm cooking this dish and she's making our dinner separately. And she's like, well, I'll just wait till you're done. I was like, oh, that's right. I never get to cook. I get to this house. So then that is a whole other emotional cycle. In the Congo, the green that is used is called ngai. When we went to the Congo when I was about like, I think I was like 13, we grabbed some ngai. There's a seed, I think it kind of ended up in my suitcase, and then we went to Nigeria for a little bit, and then the seed made its way to my mom's garden. And so my mom actually grows ngai here in the United States. I don't have access to ngai in Minneapolis, so I substituted spinach. But ngai is bitter. So what you would taste with this dish is the deeper bitterness of the green.
It's delicious.
It is delicious.
Thank you.
I like the tartness of the tomato coming through.
Thank you.
And the feeling that I'm getting a lot of vegetables like across this meal. I feel like, wow, Kalia, you did well today.
The chicken was in pieces and then washed them really well and then put them in a big bowl and then coated them with salt and pepper and olive oil and then put them in the oven. I was cooking the sauce separately and then put the chicken and the sauce together so that they could be mixing and mingling and having conversations in the fridge overnight and then cook them. There's a lot of noise downstairs. I'm like, what's going on? It's Christmas down there in the fridge. And then cooked it for an additional hour and then made the rice fresh. But lots of sauteing of onions, which was a beautiful sweet and bittersweet and sweet and bittersweet smell in my house of 20 years where I haven't cooked onions.
It's delicious.
Thank you.
Heavenly.
Would the rice have been jasmine?
So growing up, it would either be jasmine or basmati because the town where my parents still live, it's a university town. There are a lot of Africans, a lot of East Indians, and then a lot of Chinese. And so my parents, like all the Africans shop at the Chinese stores and the East Indian stores. Traditionally, probably it would have been fufu, which is like kind of like the Ghanaian gare, just a big bowl, lovely.
My dish is a indigenized American dish. I didn't have the opportunity to grow up here in Minnesota. My family were among those who were removed after the 1862 war. My grandparents were imprisoned. Many of them died following the war. And our family, my reservation is in South Dakota today because of that removal, but we actually come from here. So my traditional village sites are Chiato Tunwe, Epere Makaska, and we come from Black Dogs Village, which most people know as Egan, Minnesota, but down by the river there was a village site where my grandfather, Makpiwi Chasha, was born. We also come from Little Crow's Village, which is also known as Kaposha. And so growing up, I always knew that my family in South Dakota, that we weren't from there, but I didn't really know what that meant. And for a long time, I didn't know what home was. In our culture, because of colonization, oftentimes it's the women that cook. My husband was always told to leave the kitchen. And since we've been together, now he won't leave me alone in the kitchen. He wants me to teach him how to cook. On the bottom is wild rice, which we call psi. And this wild rice is actually from Leech Lake. There's a lot of protocols culturally that go into food because it's seen as prayer. We believe that energy goes into the people who are eating it. And this wild rice was harvested by a friend. And this buffalo, which we call tatanka tato, was actually harvested by for the elders out in Standing Rock, and my sister's mother-in-law gifted it to me. Usually when I make this food, oftentimes I'll use deer. My husband hunts deer. We call it tato, which is deer meat. And so we usually go out into the Badlands in South Dakota. We hunt deer. Our daughters are being raised to know how to butcher, and to know where their food comes from, and to be a part of that. And it's important for them to know what their connection is to the land. One of the reasons that I picked this dish in particular is I was trying to figure out, what should I bring? And I talked to my twin sister, and she said, no, you got to take your tater tot hot dish. I said, why? She's like, because that's what everyone asks you to bring. I come from a family and a community that unfortunately has a lot of funerals. And so this is the dish that I've had elders in my family and community ask me to bring because I can make big batches of it. For me, it's comfort food, and it's also indigenizing something that is seen as white Minnesotan, and something as a Dakota person who was removed from my homeland. This is like us taking it back. Usually around funeral time, we're so busy prepping the medicines and the other things that go with those services, which take a lot of effort and a lot of time and a lot of heart, that when it's time to eat, you want to make something that's easy. The kids love making it with me because they are very specific about where the tater tots go. We get to sit around and make it together, and there's something about it that they just love. It speaks to what we as Dakota people have always eaten. And the buffalo meat is important because, when you think about what is the way that you colonize a people, you go to their food source. You go to the things that nourish them, that they need. And buffalo was one of those things for us. Because of the fur trade industry, running those animals further and further out from where we lived, that was a very strategic way of making sure that we starved to death and making us dependent on the government. We were people that were fed by rations and fed by commodities. My husband is from a really traditional family in Pine Ridge. And so he grew up hunting. He grew up foraging with his grandmas. He grew up with all the ceremonies. I grew up this urban native girl from the city. So I grew up going to ceremonies, but trying to understand and remember things and information that was taken from us, that my husband's family kept. And so when we joined and had our daughters, we spend a lot of time making sure that they understand how to hunt, how to forage, how to be connected to the earth. And there's a lot of teachings that go with that. That's all a part of what makes you understand who you are. And it's a really strong element of your identity. And I know that from growing up without it. And so we're trying to normalize the things that should be here for them so that they don't sort of have that sense of confusion about who they are.
This is such a powerful and necessary reminder of where we are and the history that we're all in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
I'm so full on food and story.
With all of this food in our bellies and the richness of what you brought to eat and with your stories, there's so much that I learned from each one of you, from your cultures and your communities. That was just magic. And I just can't thank you enough. Thank you so much.
Thank you for bringing us together,
Thank you for
Mary.
the invitation.
Yeah.
I feel honored.
I feel full.
I feel